Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Vibe Show. I'm your host, Vinky Loomba, and today I have a very special guest with me, the one and only Marshall Sylver, the Millionaire Maker. You may already know Marshall. He is number one leading expert on subconscious reprogramming and irresistible influence. For over 35 years, Sylver has entertained, educated, and transformed thousands of lives. He is also an author of Passion, Profit, and Power. In fact, his teaching on personal development have been the main attribute to his worldwide acclaim. He has been invited to teach on other speakers' platforms, including Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, Bill Clinton, Robert Allen, and many others. Through education, Sylver motivates people to take action in the present moment and change their lives in a positive way forever. With that, Sylver was itching for a bigger challenge and now on a mission to win a Nobel Prize for single-handedly turning around the economy of the United States. Wow, I have to ask you about that. Welcome, Marshall. Thank you for coming to my show.
Vinky, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So, Marshall, I'm going to start with my favorite question that I ask everybody. Right now, at the present moment, how do you see yourself professionally as well as at the personal level?
A phoenix. And I'm only a little bit joking about that because I didn't crash and burn or die, but I see myself as right now in a very important reinvention phase. And, you know, I've had this remarkable life, as you know, and as I talk about all the time. I was married twice before my one true wife, and my wife, my one true wife, Erica, is perfect for me. She's the best wife in the world. She's the best mom in the world. I've got three amazing, talented, funny, kind children. I love that. I have everything on my bucket list checked off. I mean, everything. There's literally nothing else that I want. And for me, that's almost a dangerous place to be. You know, there's a Buddhist curse that says, may all of your greatest desires be instantaneously fulfilled. And as a younger man, I couldn't understand how in the world anybody could experience that as a curse. Being that man now, having all of my desires fulfilled, I get it. I understand what the curse is. And for me, it's a legacy play right now. That's where I am in my life, is I want a legacy play. You know, you mentioned in my bio that I want to win a Nobel Prize. I don't really care about the prize. I don't care about the distinction. What I care about is educating people about economics, socioeconomics, personal economics, to the point where we're all responsible, and that we understand there's no doubt in any intelligent person's mind that there is more than enough abundance on this planet for everybody to thrive, not just get by, not just eat, to thrive. And so for me, the frustration, Mickey, is that, you know, we have people starving around the world, and including in the USA. We have people that are homeless. We have people that are, you know, unfairly being attacked and harmed, and that's just wrong. And so my belief is that ultimately everything is hypnosis. And that when you can get inside people's brains and reprogram their minds to understand, number one, we are one idea, each and every one of us, one idea away from $1 billion. Number two, my success does not take away at all in any way from your success or anybody else's. And then finally, ultimately, we are in this together. So it's that cooperation and it's that ability to serve each other that ultimately gets us everything that we want anyway.
Wow. That's awesome. So I'm going to ask you this question now. Everybody knows you as the fastest and the greatest hypnotist of all times. And you've been changing lives for the last 35 plus years. How did you get here? Where did you start?
I was born on a farm in Michigan. We had no running water. We had no electricity. We had no phone. Often we had little, sometimes no food. I have 10 siblings. There's 11 kids in my family, born all from my mother. And we were dirt poor. I mean, the first house I lived in got condemned. And for about a month, we were living in the back of a station wagon, all 10 kids and my mom. And it wasn't easy. The second home we lived in was a converted chicken coop. The local community realized that we were going to starve and freeze to death in a cold Michigan winter. So they converted a chicken coop and made it, able for us to live in. These days, though, I'm broadcasting to you. This loud background is not somebody who broke into my home. It's actually art inside the theater here at my home on the beach in Southern California, a little town called Carlsbad. My main residence, as you know, is in Las Vegas, a 17,000 square foot palace. We fly back and forth on a private jet, and we live a life most people don't even dare to dream about because they figure, why bother dreaming? It's not going to happen. So, for me, the idea of winning a Nobel Prize isn't about money. Yes, I want to hand my wife $1 billion check on my 60th birthday. At the same time, for me, it's about helping other people understand financial abundance so that they can recognize that reality is created by validation. So when they see a guy like me, just an ordinary human being, I'm not special. I was in special classes as a kid. They thought I had learning disabilities, and I did. I would have been labeled ADD or ADDDD because I just got bored very quickly. I would learn fast and get bored, which, by the way, is the challenge for most kids these days that are labeled ADD or ADHD. It's not. They're hyper intelligent. And adults don't understand the intelligence level of human beings is rising. My children are brilliant. At 11, 9, and 7, the things that come out of their mouth, I just drop my jaw and say, how do you know that? How could you possibly know that? Yeah, they do. So, coming from that background, living the life that I live now as, having made over $600 million in the course of my career, I realized that it's not about being unique. It's about finding your unique place. It's about figuring out who you are. And who were you on the day that you were born? Were you a pauper struggling to make money, or were you a multimillionaire or even multi-billionaire on the day that you were born, whose money has not yet been deposited in your bank account? And that's the question you got to ask.
So how did you figure out who you are?
I figured out 3 things. And I have a deep love for God. I don't have a deep love for organized religion. I find most religions appalling. I find them almost always self-serving. And my belief is, when something's of God, number one, it comes from a place of love. We really only have 2 emotions. We've got fear and we've got love. And every other thing we experience is a derivative. Love is an expansion. Fear is a contraction. So first and foremost, if it's of God, to me, it's coming from that place of expansion, of love. Secondly, it's the truth. And, these days, I don't know what's been going on in the world, the internet, maybe mass hypnosis through, big tech and mainstream media. The world's confused. The truth isn't that difficult to discern. It is what it is. And I can't identify as a houseplant and instantly become a houseplant. I'm not a houseplant. I'm a man. That's what I am. I cannot get upset because somebody else told a joke that offended me. It's a freaking joke. Get over it already. And the world needs to stop being so damn sensitive and become realistic again. So number one, it comes from love. Number 2, it's true. And number 3, my belief is that it brings you joy. That if it's of God, it makes you happy. Not just love, you experience joy from that thing. If you want to tell me what God looks like, I know what God looks like. I look in the face of my children. I know exactly what God looks like. And so for me, you figure out who you are by understanding how would you live your life if money weren't the question, and how do you arrange your life in such a way that everything that you do provides the results that you need. I love speaking. I love training. I love teaching people. Therefore, that's what I do. It just so happens that it makes me millions of dollars. In my younger years, I liked lifting weights. I liked working out. I don't like working out anymore. I turned 60 this next year, and I'm not a fan of working out. I'm a fan of spending time with my wife. I'm a fan of looking at her cute little butt in Lululemon shorts. So when I go play racquetball with my wife every single morning, I'm not working out. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm spending time with my bride.
Wow, you said it very well. But the question is how to touch that core that you have touched. And now you got into that place where most people, they might not even dream about it. They might not even know about it because they're so conditioned with their throughout their life from the very beginning, and they have layers and layers of conditioning. So it's going to take years or maybe multiple, maybe lifetimes to take those layers off. How did you do it, like right here, right now, and you got to this point wherever you are right now?
First, I want to agree to disagree. I don't think it takes lifetimes for sure. I don't even think it takes years. I believe that we are transformed in a single moment. I believe in a single moment we get an aha and we say, I got it. Now, that said, you're right, 100%. Most people never get there.
That's true.
Most people never find that. And I think one of the best strategies for finding that is to sample the buffet. You know, I live in Vegas. You go to Vegas, you go to a buffet. All the food spread out, and you got your plate, and you say, "Oh, those potatoes look good." And I love potatoes. Those potatoes are good. Oh, that steak looks good. Oh, that green Jello looks good. And then you go and you sit down and you eat your meal, and you eat the potatoes. Yeah, those are good. And you eat your steak. You say, "Man, that's delicious." You eat the green Jello, and you go, "Wow, I'm not into the green Jello. That's not for me." And so you don't eat it, and you don't get more of it. And so I think that's what most people don't do is they don't sample the buffet. They take whatever somebody else put on their plate and they go back and they suffer through that meal. And I say, no, don't eat what you don't want. Leave it alone. Move on. You know, maybe red Jello's your thing. You know, maybe pudding, maybe pie. But figure out what you like. And when you can do that, again, I mentioned this at the top of your show. I was married twice before my one true wife, and some people would judge me for that. I don't care. Somebody was online and somebody posted something nice about me. And one of the trolls said, Marshall Sylver's a loser. He's been married 3 times. And I don't answer the trolls very often, but I was amused by this one. And I said, exactly how many times are you supposed to be married until you get it right? And, for me, it was 3. God bless people that get it right on the first round. God bless them. I didn't do it. I went through 8 jobs and 8 apartments in 2 years from the time I was 21 till I was 23. I was looking for me. To answer your question, I was sampling the buffet. I was seeing what I, could see, and I was figuring out mostly what I didn't like. When I landed as a hypnotist, I knew. 23 years old, I found it. And again, I praise God, and I'm grateful that I found it when I was 23. I've been an entertainer all those years beforehand. It wasn't quite right. And the reason it wasn't quite right for me is being an entertainer to me was partly just distracting people, having them forget about their woes and their worries. And when I became a hypnotist, not only could I entertain, I could also transform. And that's the reason I love what I do so much. That's the reason every day I'm on my knees saying thank you to God for allowing me to do what I do. And that's what every last person watching this right now needs to figure out. What do I love? Steve Jobs did a major presentation at a college about this topic, in that you must figure out what you love. And adding to that, I want to also add this, Minky, that you got to figure out how to love people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to agree with everybody for sure, but you don't even have to like everybody. You need to love them. You need to know your greatest enemy is hurting. That's why they're your enemy. And yeah, they may be messed up, and they may have been programmed wrong, and they may have their lives in a bad order, and they may think that your death or destruction or theft is the only way for them to have victory. It's not true. And my soul saddens when I see people coming from that place of lack. My soul is very tearful when I realize that some people don't know that they can win in an honest and ethical and moral fashion. And so they keep going for those short-term, what they think are victories, which long-term will eat them alive. We're seeing it a lot in politics right now. We're seeing people selling their souls to the dark side. They are selling their souls to Satan right now, and they'll pay. They will. And so for me, in my household, I say we do the right thing. I say we be the same in the light as we are in the dark.
That's true.
We be the same when people see us.
Yeah, I found one thing different in you than the others while you were talking, because you knew there is much more than what you are. And most of the time, people just settle with whatever they have because they think this is it. So how did you develop that mindset, or how did you know that you are much more than what you are at that time? And you're thinking, oh, let me explore, let me figure it out. Who am I?
Well, there you go. That's it. That's the question. Who am I? And
Mhm.
take it one step further. Who was I on the day that I was born? Was I a pauper struggling to get rich? Or was I a rich man whose money had not yet been deposited in my bank account? In my low moments, when even I'm confused and struggling and challenged, I have a phrase that I come back to, and it's powerful, and it'll be powerful for everybody on this call right now. And the phrase is, "I am chosen. I am chosen by God to be here. I am chosen to do great things. I am chosen. I matter." Doesn't mean anybody else matters any less. It's not an either or, it's an and, except I matter and I'm needed. And I need to keep coming back to that idea that there is a reason I am here that's bigger than me. There is something I must do to serve others. And I will do that joyfully, and I'll do it even selfishly. You've heard me say this quite a few times. I selfishly want to be the person that helps more people become millionaires and financially independent than anybody on the planet. I want people to look at me and almost in a diminished way say, "God, he's just an ordinary guy. He's not really even that special. How can he afford to be so happy all the time? How can he afford to, fly in private jets? How does he have all that he has?" And I want them to say, "I'm better than he is. I can have at least that." When that happens, man, I won. Nothing would please me more than to be on the tarmac in my private jet, look through my window, see you in the jet beside me, waving at me through the window, and notice that your jet is bigger. That would please me. That would make me very happy.
Oh, that's a very well said. Oh my God, I love that. So you're a family man. We know that you talk about that all the time. And I know you have a beautiful, beautiful wife and you have three wonderful kids. And I know the story that all your kids are born at home in the bathtub via hypnosis, no medication, no doctors, no pain. My question to you is, can you share with me, how did you help your wife with breaking her physical boundaries and stepping into a place which is beyond the physical pain, and that she was happily delivering babies without any help?
If someone bites you with their teeth, is that pain or pleasure?
Pain, because our mind tells us that's it's hurting there, right?
Well, yeah, but what if they bit you like on your neck? What if they bit you and said, "I love you"? And they
Yeah,
just bit you lightly, just a little bit. You'd say,
right.
"Yeah, okay, that's pleasure." So my point in this is, my mother had 11 babies. And
Mhm.
she always said, this is before I met my wife, she said, "I don't know why women make such a big deal about giving birth. All you really have to do is just let the baby go." And my wife Erica loved giving birth. That was part of the curse, is I made it pain free, so she loved giving birth. My If I had met my bride earlier in life, I would have been arrested, because she's quite a bit younger than me. But if we had started having babies earlier, we'd have 10 kids right now, just because Erica, like my mother, loved giving birth. And again, it's a frame. Some people say, you must work really hard. I don't do anything I don't want to do. Not a thing, including this interview. I never do anything I don't want to do. In fact, that's my criteria. If somebody presents something to me and I don't feel like doing it, I say, I just don't want to. Just don't want to. Yeah, but it's going to make you $1 billion. I don't care. I don't want to. It's not what I want to do. And I think that that's part of the challenge for people, is they have a frame. My wife, when she was 3 months pregnant, went to her doctor, and her doctor said, "You're going to have a cesarean." And I looked at the doctor. I said, "How in the world could you possibly know that now?" He said, "Oh, she's too petite. She's like you, Binky, as you know, she's tiny." And he said, "Oh, she's too small. She's gonna have a cesarean." I said, "Little women have been having babies without being cut open for history, forever." And I said, "You're fired." I fired him on the spot. And again, I think so many times people have assumptions, and they fall into realities that just aren't. Like, making money is difficult. Okay, that's one reality. Another reality is that you are a people and a money magnet, that money comes easily and readily to you, that the universe is attempting to give you money, and you keep thinking there's a catch. And the secret is, there's no secret. That's the secret. The secret is you've got to decide that you're worthy. The secret is you got to get out of your own head and get into other people's lives and start serving them. Quit thinking about yourself. You're never going to get rich thinking about yourself. Think about them. How do you serve them? How do you give to them? How do you give them something that they find value in, that they not only give you something in return, they eagerly give you what you want in return because you bless their lives.
So I think this is the right place to ask this question to Neil, because I heard or I have seen somewhere that you have done like $250 million with B in sales in your
that's an old bio. I've done over 600 million at this point.
600 million. Oh, wow. So
that's
more than half a billion.
That's over $500 million. And that's me personally. The people that I've trained, they've done well over $20 billion.
Wow.
One of my students did over $1 billion in revenue.
Wow. That's awesome. So what are some of the strategies or techniques that work for you that you can share with us?
Understand that ultimately everything is sales.
Mm-hmm.
The number one skill set that you can learn to create wealth is the skill set of irresistible influence. You know, we have an event that you've been to called Turning Point. We got one coming up here. We do them about every single month. And one of the things that I teach people is for every task, everything that you want to accomplish, there are tools that are highlighted for that task. And when people ask me, what's the number one tool for making money? There's no hesitation. You must learn the skills of irresistible influence. And irresistible influence isn't selling. It goes beyond that. Irresistible influence is getting someone else to beg you for what you're selling. And that's not even the part that's going to make you tingle. It's getting them to beg you for what you're selling and have them believe it was their idea. That is irresistible influence. So, you know, when I don't golf a lot, and because I don't golf very often, I'm not really good at it. The best part of golf to me is 4 hours with somebody I like, you know, just hanging outside and chatting in the cart. And, you know, I could care less about the golf part because I'm just not very good at it because I don't do it very often. Most people aren't good at selling. Number one, they've never been trained. Number two, they don't do it very often. Number three, their mind is programmed with all sorts of garbage and negativity around selling that they feel bad about it. You know, and I get it. My mother was one of the most easily sold people in the world. My mother bought everything from everybody that ever offered it up to her, and we couldn't afford it. And I used to resent salespeople. I used to get angry at salespeople for taking advantage of my mother. And I remember there was a religious group, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. And if you remember Tammy Faye, she had all sorts of eye makeup, and so they kind of made a caricature of her because she would wear huge eye makeup. And they had a big fall from grace. You know, their empire crumbled. You know, sex and power and all that stuff going on. And when my mother would get a mailing from them, it would be an envelope that said, "Hey, Sister Sylvestrak, send us $50 and God will bless your life." And my mother, as a dutiful Christian, would send them $50, and then they'd send back a full color brochure. And it said, "Sister Virginia, send us $100 and God will bless you tenfold." And she'd send them $100, and then they'd send back this full color book. And "Sister Virginia, commit to giving us $100 a month and God will accept you into heaven." And my mother, being the good, God-loving Christian she was, would make that commitment. After they failed, I said to my mother, I said, "Mom, you were sending money to con artists." And my mother said something that I thought was just awesome, just amazing. She said, "No, Marshall, I was sending my money to God. What they did with it was up to them. I was sending my money to God." And that piece of understanding that we choose what we mean, we choose our impact. You know, I have a thing that I do, and I've noticed online, I've seen some people making a big deal about it, and I've been doing it for 3 decades. I'll go to a restaurant and I'll ask the waiter or the waitress, if they're giving good service, "Do you own your home or do you rent?" And whatever they tell me, I'll say, "What's your rent? What's your mortgage?" And they'll tell me, and then I will tip them their rent or their mortgage. It doesn't matter if the bill was $25 and their mortgage was $1,500 or $3,000. I'll tip their mortgage. And inevitably, they'll like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that for me. That $3,000, I won't miss it. I won't. Does it matter to me? Yeah, it's $3,000. I won't miss it though. The point is that $3,000 just made their entire month. It got them ahead that much in that moment, and they'll remember. And so, for me, it's those acts of being in the right place at the right time to bless somebody's life and have it make an impact on them. I saw online the other day, somebody said, once again, so the trolls were giving me grief, and I don't jump in. I just watch what other people say. And some troll was giving me grief, and this woman chimes in. She said, Marshall Sylver's the real deal. Many years ago, my daughter was in an incredibly bad place, and she was serving in a restaurant in Florida. Marshall Sylver came in with his wife, his wife, and they tipped her $5,000 for her service. And she said she started hyperventilating because she was about to lose her car. She was about to lose her house. She was about to be on the streets. And she never said a word about it. How could Marshall know? So if you want to talk bad about Marshall Sylver, do all you like, but that man saved my daughter's life. And again, this is just some random person. I didn't even remember doing it. Just some random person that, again, that's what life is about. Realizing at the end of the day, we made a difference in someone else's life.
Wow, 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 Marshall. I seriously love it. You have done everything in your bucket list. You fly private. You live in huge homes. You have multiple homes. You living like king size life. I understand that the living king size life does not require wealth or status. It just requires the courage to believe who you are. You're unique, you're different, which you are, and you're practicing whatever you're preaching. And the other thing I think I heard about you is you took a bigger challenge that you're going to win a Nobel Prize. I think you were talking about that earlier too, that you're going to turn around the US economy. And what is that inspiration, or how you plan to do it? Share that a little bit.
Yeah, we got two things going on. As you know, we're doing Turning Point, and I want to make sure that everybody that's on this or listens to this reaches out to you in person and says, hey, tell me more about Turning Point. Let me, get an invitation to Turning Point. We've got Turning Point every single month. Part of what I know is what they teach in school and in college doesn't work anymore. It never really worked. It was always designed to indoctrinate and to train people to be really good soldiers and really good, employees. It doesn't work anymore, as you know. So make sure that people reach out to you and say, hey, tell me more about Turning Point, and how can I get tickets to Turning Point, and where can I attend Turning Point? The other thing that we're doing is, the last couple of years has been challenging for everybody in the midst of, and I'll say it out loud, this scamdemic, this completely contrived scamdemic that our government and many governments around the world contrived to, number one, depopulate, number two, designed to crush the lower economies to gain wealth for themselves. And without getting into that, because Lord knows that that's an hour-long conversation, without getting into that, I want to demonstrate the opposite. I want to demonstrate that it's possible to take somebody from relative financial wellness, and I'm not talking about somebody that's homeless. I'm talking about somebody that's the average Joe or Jane. Take them from that average state and make them a millionaire in 4 months or less. And the reason I'm called to do that is, since reality is created by validation, when I do that with one person or 5 people or 10 people, what happens is other people will see that happening and say, oh, he made them a millionaire or even a multimillionaire in 4 months or less. I guess not only is it possible for me, it's certain. It's certain. And that's the thing that I want people to grasp, is reality is created by validation. If you need different validation, look at different people, because the different people are creating that validation, and you can have it too. If anybody can be joyful, you can be joyful. If anybody can have an awesome relationship, you can have an awesome relationship. If anybody else can create $1 million by communicating well, you can create $1 million by communicating well, because ultimately communication equals wealth.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Marshall, you're talking about the Turning Point. I think one event is coming up this week, right? On the 18th through the 20th. Can we talk about that and how to get into that event? I think I'm going to join that one because I wanted to learn more from you.
Good. Yeah, we've got about 3 minutes left before I have to wrap up this call. Yeah, again, have them put in the chat if they're interested. Have them reach out to you. I know you've got a special offer and a special opportunity for anybody that's watching this podcast or should watch a replay of this podcast in the future. So my recommendation is both you and obviously the person that put this together for us, Gloria Charles, maybe puts in the chat that here's how you contact us. Here's how you find out any specials we've got going on. Here's how you find out the information on, where is Turning Point this month, since we do it every single month. I have been just very grateful to be here with you, Vinky. You are an angel on earth. You are a blessing to the planet. The world is a better place because you are here. And I am grateful to call you friend.
Wow, thank you so much. Likewise, Marshall. Before you go, I wanted to ask you 5 quick questions. That's a rapid fire round. So tell us, who was the most influential person in your life?
At this point, it should be fairly obvious. My mother.
Awesome.
My mom, she just showed me how to have integrity. She showed me how to be kind. She showed me that you can take care of other people and you'll still survive.
Good. And what is the best book you have read or recommend?
Oh, gosh. Passion, Profit, and Power by Marshall Sylver.
Awesome. I knew that you're going to say that. What is your biggest passion?
Getting everybody literate. And I don't mean about reading. Getting everybody literate about life. Getting everybody understanding there is a way to win this game that is different than how they're doing it, and it works.
That's good. And in one word, what does life mean to you?
Family. And not just my bride and my 3 perfect children. You, whoever is listening to this, we're family, and we're the family called humanity. And we are in this together, and family takes care of family, and we have got to. And again, I'm rich, I'm grateful, and I'm a capitalist. Don't get me wrong. I'm not airy-fairy, new agey. That's not me, except we're family. We're in this together. And I'm gonna read your mind on the last question. Sushi.
Awesome. I love that.
What's the question?
I was going to ask you, what is your favorite food? I love it, Marshall.
Yeah. I'm telepathetic. That's how I knew that.
That's good. Love it. Thank you so much for being with me today. Last question. How can people reach out to you if somebody wants to have further conversation with you?
Yeah, we got a new podcast that's launching any day now where I'm going to be giving away $1,000 cash every single day. And so if they want to figure out more about me, I'd say find me on Facebook. That's the best place to communicate with me. Marshall Sylver, spell it out, green background with a Rolls Royce there. Or they can go to Sylver, SYLVER.com and check us out there. We're always excited to have guests and always excited to meet new people.
Thank you, Marshall. That was super awesome.
You are loved. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you guys next time.